Hi everyone, I'm Nick. I don't know if you caught the news, but seller stamp duty has just changed from 3 years to 4 years. Is this going to be a concern? I know it's a concern for me because I'm implicated, I'm affected. So in today's video, I'm going to go through who are the people that will be affected, should you be concerned, and who are the people that will be the most concerned, and is there an opportunity today to get a good buy? So stay tuned to the end of the video. I'll go through with you everything about this. If you're new to this channel, my name is Nicholas. I go through all these property insights. I share my personal strategies about my own sale and purchase. So if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing. It will really help my channel grow. So this is the piece of news that was launched very late last night. As usual, every time there's a new round of cooling measures, they will announce at the very last minute so that nobody has time to react. Straits Times just announced 3 years to 4 years. Why are they doing this? That's the key question. Because there's a huge increase in the sub-sale units. That means that, are they concerned about the HDB market? Not really. Are they concerned about the private resale market? Not really. They're specifically concerned about the new launch market because a lot of people are buying and selling at the 3 years mark as a sub-sale. So government feels that, this is quite a potential concern and they want to clamp, or rather to control this number. And who are the people that is going to be implicated? That is the key question. So firstly, only properties purchased from today, 4th of July, will be implicated. How do we define what is the purchase date? So that will be likely the date that you exercise the option to purchase. So if you are someone like me who has entered an option already but I have not exercised, then yes, we will be implicated. So that's something that you need to be very, very mindful. If you are already in an ongoing transaction where you are either a seller or buyer, but the buyer has already exercised the option before 4th of July, then congratulations, you're not implicated. It's just going to be a 3-year SSD for your case. So yes, I hope you're implicated. That is very, very sad. So really, I think the whole morning I was just thinking, okay, how are we going to navigate through this? I was talking to my wife. Are we going to rethink about our new place? Because likely now we have to move in. So yes, we are one of those people who bought thinking that we will sell at the 3 years mark. We didn't have the intention to move in. But since this is the case, I've talked to a law firm, likely we have to move in unless we want to pay the 4% seller stamp duty, which is quite significant. So yeah, if you have any ideas on how I can navigate through this, please also leave down in the comment section down below. It'll be very helpful for me. But let me go through with you who are the people that will or will not be affected by this measure. So firstly, HDB, as I mentioned, will HDB people be affected? Likely no, because HDB has a 5 years minimum occupation period for the homeowner. So that means that you can only sell after 5 years. Changing from 3 to 4 years does not affect you. Therefore, we don't think there will be a huge impact in the HDB market. Private resale, will there be a huge implication for private resale? From experience, most people buying private resale are people buying for own stay. They will likely want to stay for a longer period, may not stay just 3 years. The group of investors buying to rent out, this proportion has also dropped over the years. So we also think that people for the last few years who are buying a private resale to rent out, they are also people with a longer time horizon. They will not want to exit so fast. So I don't think private resale will be that affected. Now, new launch, will that be affected? Yes, because new launch, there are quite a bit of people like myself who buy and want to exit exit after the 3 years mark. And yes, this is the people that the government is trying to control. They want you to rethink because government wants us to buy for own stay and for us to hold in a longer mid to long term period and not to sell at the 3 years mark, because that will be some form of speculation and the government doesn't want to do that. So yes, new launch, this group of buyers, now we need to rethink whether does it still make sense to enter the market. If it doesn't, then unlikely you will take action. But if you're someone looking to buy for own stay or to rent out in the longer term, but you want to buy a new launch, then congratulations, you are still not affected. But right now I want to go through with you who will be the most affected party. And I think This is the property developer. Why? Because HDB, be it HDB private resale or people like myself own new launch, we only own one or at most two properties. But property developers, these people own hundreds of units. And if they can't sell out, wow, then you pay ABST for every unit. That is going to be a huge amount. So if I were the developers, I'll be super stressed, man. Right now, in the morning, I'll probably be re-strategizing. How can we better navigate this? Do we need to rethink in terms of prices? Because if we are not reasonable in our selling price, if we are not cheap enough, will people come and buy our product? So that will be my top priority. So is there going to be an opportunity for us? I think definitely. If you are looking to buy a new launch, I think because the developers are so stressed, likely we will see an opportunity in this area. So let's understand, when was the last time SSD was tweaked from 3 years to 4 years? And I realized it's back in 2011, January. So this was the last time that cooling measure, the seller stamp duty was tweaked from 3 years to 4 years. I wanted to understand what was the impact to the market from this. So I went to find out. This is a chart of all the Singapore property prices in all segments. I found out in Q1 2011, this is when the measure was just introduced. And I wanted to find out what was the lowest point before the market takes up again. And I realized the lowest point was in Q4 2011. I wanted to find out what was the drop in terms of prices. So the drop was 3.41%. Next, I want to find out, okay, what does this 3.41%? Because from a layman point of view, I think 3% is quite okay. I don't think it's too much of a drop because people, when they think cooling measure, will be like, 销了, prices are going to drop. But it doesn't seem to be the case. I mean, to me, the prices seem quite flat. Volume still stay very, very healthy over here as compared to the volume here. So maybe prices were not really affected. And maybe that was really the government's intention. Because if I were them, I just want to make sure the people who are buying have the right intent. Prices may not be affected, which is what we see in this case. So when was the next drop which was more significant? And that is in Q3 of 2013. So what happened in Q3 2013? This was when TDSR was introduced and lots of other measures. So we realized TDSR, in fact, was the main thing that really deterred people from entering the market. And because of that, volume started to drop. And when volume dropped, prices started to drop. And how long did that drop go for? It went on for 2 years, from Q3 2013 to Q3 2015. And how much was the drop? It was 15.47%. And that's about 5 times magnitude from the tweak of the SSD period. So in my opinion, I think if the government wanted to push down prices, they would have tweaked the TDSR, or they would have tweaked something with like the loan to value ratio, because that would be a much more impactful measure to bring down prices. So I don't think today, when they launch these set of measures, I don't think it's to push down the prices. It's really to make sure that the intent of the buyers are right. People who are buying for own stay, people who are buying to have the mid to long-term horizon. So I wanted to understand, if you were someone who entered in 2011 when a tweak just happened and you bought a new launch, how was it? Do you make money? Do you lose money? And I realized that, hey, actually when they entered May of 2011, they still made pretty decent money, annualized from 5 to 8% annual returns. And I think that's pretty decent. Of course, in absolute terms, you see 100 plus K is like, oh, it's nothing much. In today's terms, actually 100 plus K is nothing much. But bear in mind, the purchase price they bought in, these are all less than $1 million. So this 100 plus K actually is quite a substantial amount in terms of gain. And they also sold about between $1 to $1.1 million over here, because Courtyards is, if I'm not wrong, in the Sembawang area. So this means that with the measures, actually people still stand to benefit, because they sold, 2011, let's exclude this one because this one sold in 2013. I'm not so sure, are they paying SSD or what? But if you look into the 2015 transactions, all these are about 5% annual returns. They bought in 2011, they sold in 2015. just nice the 4 years SSD mark, and they earn annualized 5 to 6% returns. I think that is pretty decent. So with these sets of measure, I think we'll see the same thing that's going to happen. I think 5% annual returns, that's pretty decent. So in 4 years, you are looking at 20%. Actually, is not bad. So why did the government want to introduce the measures right now? I think it's very strategic. Because why? Tomorrow onwards, Upper House, Robertson Opus, this is in the core central region. Upper House is in Orchard Boulevard. Robertson Opus is in Robertson Walk area, River Valley area. They are going to start their preview. And after them, River Valley, Promenade Peak, all these will start in mid of July. And Grand Zion will be October, November period as well. So a lot of these new launches are coming up. The government wants to set the tone right. They want to make sure that if you are looking to buy a property, make sure you have the right intent, make sure you have the holding power of at least 4 years. If not, please do consider. Please rethink your decision. And I think it's better that they're doing it right now rather than just one day before booking day, then the government release this set of measures. So honestly, I think the government is quite kind to us in that sense. If you feel that I don't want, I just want to hold for 3 years, then maybe you shouldn't even enter the show flat in the first place. But I think it's quite interesting because now all these different developers, right, they will probably be very stressed, as I mentioned. They need to rethink because number one, they already have so much competition in the area. They need to be very price sensitive. Secondly, now with the cooling measures changes, they need to be even more sensitive. I won't be surprised if the starting prices may even change or the loading per floor, the highest price ever transacted within each of these bedroom type may be even lower. Of course, these prices are not released to us yet, but they can still always tweak the prices. So because last time when they put starting from price is very attractive, but it's always the level 2 worst facing unit, and then the highest floor best facing unit will have a huge jump, and that's how the developers earn money. But with this set of measure, maybe even if they stick with the starting from prices, the eventual highest transacted prices on launch day may still be very close to the starting from prices. So that can be very interesting, and buyers can definitely benefit from this as well. So another reason why they want to do this right now is because the last time we have so many new launches was in November of 2024. We have Emerald of Katong, Chuan Park, Nava Grove, all these launching at the same time. Huge increase in transaction volume during that month, during that period. So I still remember that time government still thought about maybe they want to introduce some form of cooling measures to cool the market. But thankfully, US tariffs happened and that kind of corrected the market a bit, cooled down the market. So government realized that I don't need to do that. But right now, they foresee that if they don't do anything, these few new launches will probably be like a replay of what happened in November. So that's why they want to set a tone right. They want to do this from the get-go. And I think that is actually quite smart on their part. But now, you may be thinking, then should I still wait or should I consider entering now? If you consider to wait, we all know that Bayshore GRS, they were sold at 1,388 PSF PPR, whereas Zion was only sold for 1,002, 1,003 PSF PPR. This means that Bayshore and Zion Road, River Valley, potentially if you wait, next year you will need to pay for Bayshore at least same price or more expensive than what you're paying for River Valley. Does that make sense? Are you someone that value Bayshore higher than River Valley? Because for me, I value River Valley much higher than Bayshore. So if you feel that that doesn't make sense, then honestly right now is the short window of opportunity that you should definitely consider to enter the market, because this is a zero-sum game. You see Bayshore, they bought at 1,388. How cheap can they launch? But today, in River Valley area, can they launch cheap? They can. Will they sell cheap? They probably will, because they have competition and they have these 3 to 4 years changes in the SSD. So likely developers will want to clock the sales volume first before they decide. So if you are someone eligible to enter, you don't own a property at the current moment, you can enter. I think entering in day one will definitely benefit you greatly. Another new launch that we can see here is the CDL one at Lakeside. Lakeside is also sold for 1,132, very close to what we have here, 1,002 and 1,003 PSF PPR in the River Valley area. So once again, do you value Lakeside higher than Zion Road, than River Valley? For me, I don't. See, they are very near MRT, right? Lakeside. Zion Road ones, they are also very near MRT. There's Havelock, there's also Great World. So I do think that it doesn't make sense to continue waiting because all these land plots will definitely be sold eventually. Someone will definitely buy. But do we want to buy at a lower price or do we want to buy at a higher price? Or do you want to pay a higher price at a worse off location? So that is something that you have to decide. Yeah, but if I were you, I'll be quite grateful that right now there's this set of cooling measures because if I were to enter the balloting, I know that there'll be lesser competition from those people who want to exit within the next 3 years. People who are entering will have a longer holding period like yourself, 4 years or more. So competition is lesser and you probably can get a better unit at a better price with lesser competition from your side. So I think this is really, really good news. So as a consumer, I think most people will stand to benefit from this piece of news, unlike myself. But yeah, if you are looking to look into all these show flats, please feel free to contact me. I can arrange an appointment of the show flat for you. If not, I've come to the end of the video. I hope you have benefited from this. If not, I'll see you in the next one.